What happened to the set? It's so cool. I love it. Except the to the left of me. What is that? Is that a window? What is that? Okay, I'm holding. Oh no. Oh no. Huh? First time.
There we go.
I'm
There
gonna
we
get
are.
you Sumner with Audi. Sumner with technology. First time.
I know. First time. Yeah. I know. Sumner's
That's
muted.
good.
No, my mic wasn't even like in OBS. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the 30-day podcast. 30-day. I'm gonna start that over. Welcome everyone to the 30-day trial podcast. I am Sumner. I'll be taking you in today with our new set. Mick, I have to tell you that I may have lapsed on 5 or 6 payments for the last studio, and I had to sell it. Hate to tell you that.
Oh.
But I was able to rent this back, the back of a bar for a little bit.
Ooh. I mean,
Yeah,
I like that. I like it. It gives, I think, an interesting feel. The
yeah,
studio was great, but I felt like I was gonna break something if I touched literally anything. It felt
yeah.
it felt expensive,
Well, a lot of it was made of actual glass and crystal, so
Yeah,
which was
which is
really,
intimidating.
in hindsight, unnecessary. But
Yeah,
hindsight's 50-50.
yeah, and
Wait, is that how
but
that's said?
yeah, that's how that works. I think maybe I don't know. Anyway, uh,
Hello.
hello. This is a podcast in which we discuss hyperfixations, friendship, adult ADHD, and frame it all in a positive mental health light. Uh,
We try at
we got
least.
we try. Damn it, we try. I'm Mick. He's Sumner, and today I have a very important question for you, my friend.
Oh no. Is it like personal? Do we need to be off the podcast for this one? No,
No,
you
I
know
mean
what?
it is
Whatever it is,
personal.
I'm ready. Let's do it live. What is it?
What's your favorite scary movie?
As above, so below. Why do you ask?
Really?
Yes.
I heard that movie was garbage. I've literally never seen it. But the one guy that I know that did see it, he was like, it was literally one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen. I'm not like busting your balls. But
That is
I've never
genuinely
heard,
surprising.
yeah, I've never heard anybody else talk about it.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's they do so much with so little. Uh
That's
if
the
if
movie
if
where
they
they're in
didn't
the
like
French
it, they weren't
catacombs,
paying
right?
attention, IMO.
That's like, that's the one that they're in the French catacombs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember when it was coming out and I was like, this looks super cool because the
It
French
is.
catacombs look super cool.
Yeah.
There's like skulls in the walls and
Yeah,
shit. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's
It's
interesting
it's
that
really
is your
good.
go-to.
It's got like a, it's as above so below, so they're entering hell. There's a very it's a really
Oh,
interesting simple story
yeah.
of a daughter, an archaeologist type
Oh, spoilers by the
girl
way for
boss.
this like 12-year-old movie. Just
Is it 12 years
spoilers.
old already?
I literally I have no idea how old it is. I just know it's
It's
a
not
long
spoilers
time.
actually. It's really
Oh,
not.
okay. So you're giving me the
No, because she goes into it very in detail, like this is where we're going. There's rumors and myths that this is what this is, but I need to find out for myself, kind of thing.
yeah.
But
Okay.
like the horror aspect doesn't come from oh shit we're in hell. It comes from the suspense of what is in hell,
Yeah.
or what is waiting for you, and why are you
Interesting.
there, and why
Yeah.
is it here? It's really interesting. But it's just a good. They do so much with so little. Like, the budget was clearly like pencil thin, but they put so much shit in the catacombs, and it's all practical effects. It's all
I love that.
it's
I'm
just
a big fan of
awesome.
that.
Uh, yeah, man. So it's a story of a daughter archaeologist who's trying to like pursue her father's legacy of like finishing what he started,
Yeah.
um, and she employs the help of a few other very talented people. Goes to France, finds like this really cool like this French like posse that goes into the catacombs even though it's
Yeah.
illegal to go hang out there, but it's like regular practice for these guys.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
a bunch of shit
I would do
happens.
that.
They have a backstory of like one of their posse mates actually got stuck down there, and apparently like he's just lives down there, or he's dead, or both.
Oh, okay.
So and they eventually like they all have backstories that they all have to kind of confront anything that they've done badly in their life.
Yeah.
They see and they don't really talk about until it's over, and it's really I don't know. I really enjoy it. I've seen it maybe 6 or 7 times.
So, what what was your favorite before this movie? Because obviously, this movie came out in 2014. So, was there anything that this eclipsed, or you were kind of in that quest? Um,
So, I mean, I've never really been into horror, weirdly enough.
that was my next question is, are you a horror boy?
No, I'm
I was
not.
gonna say no. I figured you were
No,
not.
I'm not. I'm really not. Like, the thing is, like, me and my partners, we're super into horror. They love it.
They are indeed.
They do not like comedy. Well, they do like it when they watch it, they like it, but they never like elect for it, which I always
Yeah.
would elect for it. That or a documentary. But like, I like, I don't know. Horror is such a saturated genre where the tropes are incredibly cliche to the point where the cliche, people are very picky about how that cliche is done. And I think it's interesting to see what directors take and make of their own, and what little they do with what budget they're given, or what massive budget they're given and they completely blow on weird shit. It's stuff like that. Like the movie X I saw recently was awesome. Anything coming out of the what's it called? Not N64. What's it?
A24.
A24. A6 N64. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah, A24 is awesome.
No, I agree with that. You always seem like you have more of a critical eye towards movies, almost to a point where I question if you like any movie or any real media that you watch, because inevitably you're always just like, it's fine. And I'm like, he's dissected it and picked it apart and is determined why it is no longer enjoyable. But I understand why you're like that. Your brain is going a million different directions a minute.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that you would over and hyper analyze, like someone walks in the room and says hello, and you're like, why would they say hello? They should have said hi. Like,
no,
he said hello. Nobody says hello anymore.
Is that the vibe? Is that a Sumner vibe?
It's not a vibe. It's just in my experience.
That's
talking
funny.
with like movies and television.
No, you're right, though.
You,
you're right.
You're primarily like, it's fine.
You're right, though. I do hyperanalyze to a fault, and it's been something I've been trying to work on. We're to the point where, like, I think the movie that really, hit that home for me was the Pokemon movie that came out, where I had such expectations for it, and I just ended up hating
which
it.
one? Like the animated or the
anime? No, Detective Pikachu. Sorry, not the Pokemon movie. I love that shit. No, the Detective Pikachu.
When we talked about it, like, I kind of look at it differently now. Not like super differently. I still enjoy it, but
Which movie? Detective Pikachu?
Yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
pointed out some things that I had never really considered, and I'm like, I definitely see what he's saying here.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, in a lot of ways, like, it doesn't feel like a Pokemon movie.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, I think like a Pokemon movie should feel. Considering, like, there's very little, like, this is what Pokemon is like in the movie, with the exception of like the underground fight. That's it.
I remember that conversation. The underground fight was the only satisfying part of that movie. Maybe the Greninja fight.
That's pretty cool.
But honestly, it comes down to the fights. The useless Torterra scene, which is massive, cool take, but like, did we need it? No. You could have done so much cooler shit with the money spent on that,
Now.
The OST, like, where the fuck was the OST? Why are we doing a not Misty, not Ash character? Like, I'm cool with OCs and everything, original characters, but like, it's like you knew what we wanted, and you're like, but what if I did my own thing instead? Like, you're missing why we liked Pokemon.
No, I get that. And I don't fault you for kind of overanalyzing horror. I do think horror movies, by and large, are the easiest movies to like really overanalyze and pick apart. I think overall horror is. But I'm gonna sneeze.
I like sneeze, boy. There it is. So we dude. Okay, you get one bless you, and that's it. So
that's fine.
I like horror movies where directors try to dissect what horror could be for different people. I like psychological horrors a lot.
You've seen The Witch?
The Witch is a fantastic movie. You have to have patience for suspense, though, because that movie drags the fuck on, and if you don't like suspense, you will detest it.
I
But it's
I
good.
think the cool thing about The Witch, at least for me, and I don't know if other people feel this way,
Mm,
but I think their attention to detail, to the time period, the way they speak, the things they say, the set design, to me, that's what makes it very engaging and very interesting. Like
right,
that keeps me hooked is like listening to how they speak to one another, like their cadence and like their accent and
yeah,
all that. So like I get drawn in by that. And then when
right,
shit jumps off, it's like, whoa.
yeah,
But yeah, that makes sense that that's when you said
hmm
A24 because look, I don't want to be an asshole, but I feel like A24 generally puts out what I would call
pretentious.
no, thinking man's horror. Like it's horror that really makes you think about the situation, the moment,
Hmm
and makes you analyze and grapple with your own emotions regarding certain subjects. As opposed to like a Friday the
Yeah.
13th where Jason's hacking up a bunch of campers,
Well,
you
that's an
know?
interesting point. So I kind of I had that same perception of A24. And if you haven't watched, if those watching have not heard of A24, it's a production company that employs a bunch of different directors. It's not like is the same type of movie every time. They're very picky about like what types of movies go through their production company, and they pretty much guarantee like quality films. I highly recommend anything that comes out of that
So
studio.
you're like a Robert Eggers type guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the last A24 movie I watched, X, is not
Mm.
that what you just described. It
No, it's
is
a slasher, right?
it's a slasher, and the thing is I've thought a lot about like do I like horror, and I think a closer take on it is I like thrillers, which is a very
Mm.
fine line because thriller is like the horror movie with more story and focus on the characters and less jump scares.
Mm.
So because I don't give a fuck about jump scares. I think
Can I
they're
blow your mind for a
yeah,
second?
go for it.
Yeah, give you a hot take.
Yeah.
If you break theater performance down,
Mm.
horror is not a thing that exists. There's no such thing. There's only two.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
comedy and
Mhm.
drama. There is nothing else. There's comedy and drama, the two masks for theater. So horror doesn't actually exist. It is a subset of drama, or in some cases, comedy. But yeah, so
That's a good
horror is
take.
not.
Yeah,
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 thank
yeah.
you.
I
Very
didn't know
pretentious.
the universal symbol for theater, the two masks. That's what it is?
Drama and comedy. Yes,
I had no idea. It was
those are
staring
the
at me right
two.
in the face.
Yeah, those are the two theatrical expressions that exist in theater performance
Fascinating,
are drama and comedy.
because throughout this conversation, I'm wondering what makes a horror movie? Is it jump scares? Is it the
I don't think so.
yeah, it's not. It's I mean, horror is a huge umbrella.
Yes,
Which
I
is why I
agree.
like when directors get really creative with what is horror. If I'm going for horror, if I'm going for scary, what is scary to this particular? Like one movie, Hereditary, and it's another fantastic horror movie. I think it would be horror, maybe thriller. Um,
It's horror. I've not watched it, but it is a horror movie.
is it okay? I think it
Yeah,
technically
it's
defines,
definitely.
but it's not like you get to know these characters very. You get invested in what's happening because it shocks you at multiple points for a very interesting and to me rewarding ending.
There
But it's not like a horror. I don't know. Uh,
just because I you need to hear this before I forget it, and you may
okay.
have seen it. There's a very impactful scene in the film where the main character, Toni Collette, tells the child how she wished she wasn't their mother or never
Yeah.
wanted them as a child or something,
hmm
and then she's like, and pulls her hands up to her face.
Yeah.
There's a meme that somebody made where it's the scene where she's like, "I wish I was never your mother," and then the second part of the meme is her hands are on her face and it says beatboxes. And it
Just
because she's like, "I wish I was never your mother." And it fucking slays me. It's the funniest goddamn thing. Because like, what a powerful moment. And then
and just
fucking internet gets its hands on it and ruins it.
it's like anytime anyone does anything in front of a green screen, no matter
Yes.
how serious it is.
Yeah. You could do anything. But yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that was
You needed in this
awesome.
moment to hear this.
I
So yeah.
so one thing I want to do, I actually made this set today on my lunch, but
It
I
looks
want
fantastic.
oh, thank you. I wanted something closer and less, just
Yeah.
junky, I guess. And I'm gonna work on it. But
I like it actually a lot.
I want to eventually I'll share my screen with you, Mick, and I want to put
Yeah.
like videos and stuff you want to watch and do
Yeah.
commentary on that screen back there.
Cool. I like
Yeah,
it.
we'll see. So, like,
That's a
when
good
you
idea.
mention stuff like that, I don't have it set up right now, but
Yeah,
eventually
no,
I want to
that's
find that.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
If anyone finds it in chat and sends me the link, I will play it.
So I will say this. Um, so you say as above so or as a fuck as below so what was it?
As above, so below.
Why could I not get that? As above so below.
It's a weird combination of words.
So for me, I because you didn't ask, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. Uh, my my favorite is
I say
it
that all the
depends.
time.
It depends. Um,
I was gonna ask
I
you, by the way.
I go back and forth, honestly. It depends on my mood, but it's either the first Nightmare on Elm Street or it is um American Werewolf in London. And they're both very
I've
different
never
films.
heard of the Werewolf in London one.
You've never heard of American Werewolf in
Now,
London?
I may sound pretentious about movies, but I know jack shit about most movies.
That's wild that you really
Yeah.
never heard of it. Okay. Do you
No.
know who John Landis is? He's a
No.
director. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Do you know have you ever heard of a movie called Animal House?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have
Yeah.
you ever heard of the Blues Brothers?
Yeah, of course.
You're familiar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so John Landis is arguably one of the best comedy directors and comedy writers of all time, like
Mm.
in movies. He did Animal House, he did Blues Brothers.
Okay, so a
He
bunch of classics.
yeah, a bunch of
Okay.
classic. Like when people think comedy, John Landis was like if you were to Mount Rushmore it, like John Landis arguably is on that
Oh,
that,
like
that
John
list.
Carpenter is like horror.
Exactly.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
But he did a movie called An American Werewolf in London, and it is a take on the kind of classic werewolf story. It is a beautiful blend of comedy and horror to a point where, like, 1 minute you're laughing because it's funny and it's like it's lighthearted, and then the literal next second it's terrifying and it is like tension. It's not really jump scares. There's this scene, and spoiler, there's a werewolf in the movie. I know, right? Like, I know that that's left field, I'm sure, based off the title.
Sorry.
But there's this scene, and it's the most famous scene in the movie. And you're familiar with the Halloween Horror Nights that they do at Universal Studios,
Of
right?
course, I lived in Orlando for 3 years.
Okay,
Incredible.
so they years ago they did a house based off of this because it obviously the movie takes place in London. There's a scene where a guy is being stalked by the werewolf through the London Underground in the like subway tunnels and everything. Like he's running from it, and they did a house based off of that. And I hated I didn't get to go because I would have loved it. Like so it's just it jumps from like like you're laughing, you're having fun, it's a good time.
Mhm.
Oh shit, this is a horror movie. Like that it's like that. And it's one of my favorite. And I believe it is one of my favorites because of the blend of comedy into horror to where you feel for the characters. Like you
Mhm.
genuinely like the main character in the movie. So it's I recommend it. I think you'd be interested in it because it's great. And like the main character's so likable, and the effects are all practical, and is the greatest werewolf transformation scene in the history of film. It is
Like actually
um
good?
yes,
Because a
it
lot of
is.
these horror movies are a lot of the good ones are so bad they're good kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I never know when is that actually good or is it like ironically good, which is another subsection of horror.
no, it's
Um,
it's really good. I know some people argue that
like Teeth.
um
Teeth was an amazing horror movie.
I'm familiar with that one. Yes.
Or Rubber.
Rubber is something. That is I don't know if it's a horror movie, but it's something.
I thought Netflix says it's a horror movie.
I think they're
I don't
taking a
think it
piss.
is, but
It's
Netflix is
it's a fun movie.
basically God. So let's
Yeah,
not
that's
you
this
know.
is true. But then and then sometimes again, depending on my mood, Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favorite because for many, many years, mostly when I was younger, Freddy Krueger legitimately scared the fucking shit out of me. I was terrified of him. And the concept of him is, I think, very terrifying.
Mm. Well, we have one question in chat actually. I'd love to go over what elements in
Yep.
movies that actually instill horror and fear in each of you.
Oh, you go ahead first.
That's
I know what mine is.
interesting.
Well, I'll let you go
Um,
first.
that is such an interesting question because I feel like movies that have a, and this might be getting personal, but like true horror that like gets in the middle of me is like stuff that has to do with like family, where like trust has been just destroyed or something like that, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden a scary thing has to happen and it happen on top of everything, or like I can't even give you an example. Family stuff is the best way to put that. Uh, like that's why I like Hereditary a lot, is because of the mother relationship specifically.
Yeah.
The whole like the I wish I never had you shit like that type of shit on top on the, and then my mom started beatboxing, so like stuff like that is very like it just instills that fear on top of
Oh
like what
yeah.
is going on, that like I really don't need this right now.
Yeah.
That's probably for me, but otherwise I'm fairly okay at putting like myself in the shoes of the people that are there. Like As Above, So Below is a good example because like that's a claustrophobia type thing. You just keep getting deeper
Oh
and
yeah.
deeper and deeper and deeper. Like there's one movie, it wasn't As Above, So Below, but similar concept where they go like cave diving or whatever.
The Descent,
The
I would imagine. Is
Descent.
that the one where there's the
Yeah,
monsters?
no,
One,
it is
yeah,
The
yeah, that's the
Descent.
Descent.
And
Yeah.
one of the first scenes, like them like going through like a super tight like rock type thing, and it's like, oh nope, nope,
I like that that scares you, not the monsters eating them.
no, no, no. That the monster stuff is like, I don't know. It's fantasy to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. See, I prefer monster movies. Like I am a monster movie guy. Like to me, I love a movie with a good monster in it.
It's like
That's
Cloverfield.
I've not seen it.
Really? Well, if you
Yeah, I
love
know. I need
shaky
to.
cameras, let me tell you,
That's actually why I haven't seen it because I'm afraid it'll make me sick.
it did make
Because you
people
know
sick in theaters.
I get really
I
bad
watched it at
motion
home.
sickness, so I struggle with certain movies. Like I don't know if I could watch Blair Witch again today. I'm afraid it would kill me. Um,
Really, that bad?
it's really bad. I have very bad motion sickness, like real bad.
If
Like
it's
I don't know.
that bad, then don't watch
Yeah,
Cloverfield.
it's pretty bad.
Cloverfield's like it's damn near unwatchable for like 2 minutes. Like it's it's like what the fuck is happening? And then I
yeah,
know it's
that's the
supposed to
main
be an
reason.
audio thing, but you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the main reason why I haven't. But I love a good monster. Like to me, that's the most compelling aspect of horror. To answer the question, the thing that scares me the most, this is boring, is like shit that's real, like Hostel, or like the movie where like a just dude is gonna kill you because he wants to kill you. Like
No, oh yeah, you're right. One scene I had. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to forget it.
oh
Which
yeah,
movie was it? It was a writer with Jake. It was Jake Gyllenhaal was a writer, and he was writing, and he was an ex with. Oh shit, what was it? But anyway, the scene was like he was driving in East Texas, with him, his wife, and daughter, and
Jake
they were
Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of a movie that not a lot of people know about. It came out like 6 7 years ago. Um,
Not ringing a
and
bell.
he writes a story, and it's telling the perspective of like how the wife in real life is
Mm,
imagining the book being written. It's a brilliant movie. Anyway, I don't have a title for
interesting.
you, so that does nothing for
Okay, yeah,
anyone.
I was about to say
But
this is
yeah. But anyway,
obscure, but
the element of horror I'm talking about is he's driving in East Texas with his family in a car, and it's like based in the 80s, so like there's no
mm,
like cell phones or anything like that. He has to get to the next town, and then these like another car full of like young ruffians are like hassling them and driving them off the road. That shit is
oh, okay.
terrifying.
Yeah, to me, like that's the real scary stuff because it's like that's real shit.
Yeah, that's
Like
real.
somebody
Yeah,
could legitimately
yeah,
decide they want to kill you or attack
yeah,
you or whatever. So like that's the stuff that like
yeah,
that's real.
yeah.
But the more interesting answer is I'm intrigued by monster movies, or at least like not necessarily like guy in rubber suit monster, but just the concept, like The Witch. The concept of it is
It
fascinating to
really
me
fucking
because
is. Yeah.
yeah, because when you look at it, all of that stuff, all horror, all of our
Hmm.
stories that we've, huddled around a campfire because we're terrified of what's waiting for us in the dark,
Right.
while we tell these stories, there is some basis somewhere in fact. All stories originate from fact. All legends originate from fact. Now, granted, it becomes distorted, it becomes twisted, it
Hmm.
changes over time, but somewhere it was based in fact, and that's what fascinates me. Like that to me, that is what is the most interesting thing. Now, granted, most of it was like because humans just didn't know shit.
Hmm.
Um, for at one point, like we didn't understand how like the solar system worked and the tides and
Right, right.
things like that.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
had to make up reasons. But to me, that's what makes monster movies, way more interesting. Like
Yeah.
in
I innately love monsters too. And actually one of our chatters put it really well. I was going to mention this, that Guillermo del Toro has gone on record many times saying that is why he loves monsters so much, them
yeah,
being like a personification or realization of like real people or
yeah.
real situations or feelings, and I really, really love that.
There is, and I'm, Jesus, hold on. I want to make sure I don't tell you wrong. Uh, I'm pretty sure it's Tales from the Dark Side. I'm almost positive that it is. No, it's Tales from the Hood. Okay, have you ever seen Tales from the Hood?
I've never heard of it. No.
It's amazing. So it is my favorite horror is anthology horror. I love a good
I
anthology
love
horror.
anthologies too. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tales from the Hood is an anthology horror series that explores um, horror stories from black writers and black directors set in um, locations and like stories that represent black Americans.
Right, right.
Uh,
When was it
that
made?
that is it 93, 94.
93. Wow, that is a
Yeah,
very specific era for the black community. Very interesting.
it it's excellent. Like
Yeah.
it is such a good movie. Uh so the idea is these like three gangbangers, they go to this funeral home because one of their guys died and he's in the funeral home,
Hmm.
and the funeral director tells them the different stories of these different bodies that are in the funeral home. So it's like 3 or 4 different stories as he's like walking through them because I think they were there to like pick up drugs or something like that. That was
That's
like
one
the
hell of a
idea.
framing device.
Yeah. But he like, so he'll like open a casket and they'll see the corpse and then he'll tell them the story of what happened to that corpse.
That's cool.
Um, it is it is incredible. I don't know if it's on streaming because it was like off streaming for a long time. It was a very hard movie to get a hold of.
That would
Uh,
be one hell of a way to start off a D&D campaign, and then they're all brought back to life or something.
oh, that would be awesome. You
That'd be
got to watch
sick.
Tales from the Hood. I think you'd
Tales from
really
the
enjoy
Hood.
it.
I want to write that down.
Yeah, Tales from the Hood. Highly recommend it. Don't watch the second or third. Well, I can't speak for the third one. Don't watch the second one. It is a piece of garbage.
What a
Uh,
shame. Why do
it's
sequels
so
do
bad.
that? Okay, yeah.
It's bad. The first
Yeah.
one is incredible. But talking about the personification in monsters, one of the stories in it is this little boy and he's telling his teacher about this monster that he's afraid of. This monster is causing him harm and he goes to school, he's got bruises all over his arms. He draws the monster and it's this horrid like fang evil looking creature thing.
Right, right,
And
right.
his teacher goes to his house to talk to his mother about this, and sure enough, meets his very abusive stepfather. And that's literally how the little, I'm not going to spoil the rest of the story, but that's how the little boy was kind of framing his pain and his hurt was this monster's hurting me, not, oh, my stepdad is. Like
Right.
but it's really good. It's really, really good and it's really well done. But that's like Guillermo del Toro doing that reminded me of that bit from Tales from the Hood specifically.
What is that movie with the girls like in the sailor outfits that have like swords and guns and shit? And what is
Oh,
uh
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch? Is it like that? Where it's like
I've
all
not seen
personified of what they're going through in real life?
No, that was just one instance of one story. Like
Oh,
they're
oh,
all
oh, oh.
very
I
different
thought it was
stories. A lot of
like a motif or a
no,
common trope.
no. That was just that specific story.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. It was that specific story was how it was represented, but
That's
it's
so sick.
largely stories that affect the black community and
Mm-hmm.
represent the black community and like their take on horror. Speaking of that, a great horror documentary on Shudder is Horror Noir, which explores the history of black horror and black directors and black prominent actors in the horror community. It's very good.
That's kind of what Jordan Peele is doing right now with like Nope and a
Exactly.
couple. Nope
Le-
is very. I want to say heavy-handed, but that's not the right word. It's appropriately heavy-handed. It's really
yeah.
really educational. It's really cool. I liked. Did you watch Nope?
I've not. My wife saw it. I haven't watched it yet because I saw the trailers and I said, "Nope,
What? Really?
nope."
Why?
Okay, one of the main issues that I have with certain horror, I have an incredibly overactive imagination. So if something is done too well, even if it's not done well, I will focus on it and not sleep because I will make it scarier in my head. And then like I'll be jumping at every noise in my bedroom at 2 a.m.
But you
Yeah,
love
it's
monsters.
I do. It's weird, isn't it?
You're a walking contradiction, sir. That's
I
amazing.
know.
So so you like the feeling though. Okay, so I mean you
I love horror.
so did
Don't get me
you
wrong.
watch
I love horror. I just have to be very careful what I watch when I watch it. My wife is
did you
my
watch Get
screener.
Out?
Nope.
Okay, you gotta
I
watch
own
Get
it.
Out. That's
Yeah,
a very
I'm going
good.
to watch Get Out. It's actually on our
It's
list for
very
October.
it's very very good. It's very cathartic. It's very like yeah, like it's very good.
Although there is
did you
one very true statement that one of the characters in that movie says, and it's from the trailer, so this doesn't spoil anything. He was like, "I'd have voted for Obama a third time if I could," and I'm like, "I also would have voted for Obama a third time."
Yeah, I know a
That
lot
has
of
nothing
people
to do.
would. Yeah, I right there with you. Don't make me sad. So, um, what was I gonna say? Did you ever watch? Speaking of anthologies and not horror, did you ever watch the Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
I'm familiar with it, but I don't know that I've seen it.
It's not a horror. I mean, I think one of them would be considered horror, but and they're one anthology. I wish each story had something or one thread that would put them together, but they're not. I believe it's on Netflix. I think it's a Netflix original. I could be wrong. Highly recommend it though.
I have to check
Um,
it out. I love all the horror anthologies. Like Creep
what
Show
about
might be
Halloween?
my
Is it
favorite.
Halloween? What is it called? Not Halloween. Halloween's Michael Myers. There's a
Oh,
Halloween one that's like
Trick or
famous.
Treat.
Trick or Treat. That's a
Yes, I
fucking
love that one.
awesome
I
Halloween
love
anthology.
so fun thing about that movie, the first time I saw it, I didn't know that it was anthology. So like 20 minutes in, I was like, "What the fuck is going on in this movie?" And then
I
I realized it
wait.
hit me.
Who
I was
are
like,
you?
"Oh!"
Wait, what is
Yeah,
going on? That's
yeah.
not
I was
similar.
so confused. Well, because like all the anthology horror that I had
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
up until that point, there is that kind of like step back moment
Yeah,
that
yeah.
breaks it all up. Like
Right.
Creepshow does it, Tales from the Dark Side does it, Tales from the Hood does it.
Mhm.
There's always someone telling someone
Yeah.
else. The Twilight movie does
The
it,
thread.
or
Yeah.
Twilight Zone movie, yeah. But it doesn't do it. Oh yeah, Mortuary Collection is another great anthology that's recently come out. It was actually really, really good. I enjoyed it immensely. But yeah, I love anthology horror. It's my jam. If I were to ever actually make a horror movie, and at one point I was kind of conceptualizing a horror like short series, but the framing device was going to be this town. It was
Mhm.
going to be like this kind of spooky. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you remember the show Erie, Indiana? Came on like ABC in like the mid 90s. It might be slightly before your time
Yeah, I don't think I've
because I
heard
don't
of
think it
it.
hit like yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it was like syndicated or anything like that. But that was something that like I really enjoyed is the idea of there's this weird town where all this weird stuff happens in it, and some people cross through the town and it happens. Some people live there and shit happens to them, and so I had an idea for that and never did anything with it, unfortunately. The people that I was working with on it were not interested, so I was
Oh,
like,
no.
okay.
God, there was
But yeah,
one horror anthology I watched. I think it was on Netflix also, actually, um, where it was like a small town, and it kept like moving and moving, and it starts off with like a home invasion, which is innately terrifying,
yes,
and
very much so.
and it just goes from like the story of like the person that broke into the house, and that person leads to another story of a bar in hell and stuff like that, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I keep listing movies that I don't have goddamn titles for, so it doesn't
Need the
help
name.
anyone.
So, in terms of like movie, is there any movie that specifically stuck with you that just like maybe not still scares you, but there's that like initial scare thing that stuck with you? Someone in chat said the movie Darkness Falls. Are you familiar with that one?
Man, dude, all these horror titles sound identical to me. They're just like the evil within, the dark behind your door. I don't know, like
Well, Darkness Falls was the name of the town, I believe, that it took place in.
maybe. I mean,
It,
sure, I
it
take your
it's
word.
great. It'll fuck with you. Like it's one of those like I don't know if this was the intent or if it is. It felt very Japanese horror. Like the tone of the movie, the direction that it went, and most
Interesting.
specifically the end felt incredibly Japanese. So I
Japanese
don't know
horror
if
is insane.
yes,
It
it is.
is.
I
I
love it.
would say it's very culturally driven from my experience with
Mm.
Japanese horror. Like you kind of have to know Japanese culture to understand why it's scary.
Oh yeah.
But even if you don't, it's just like a oh shit, oh fuck, I'm actually going to die. There's no like chance I'm gonna
Yeah.
live.
There's no
if
like
you live, he will not
bargaining.
be the same. Like it's
Yeah. It's like have you ever seen it's a classic, it's probably the most famous Japanese horror film next to The Ring or uh The Grudge. Have you ever seen House?
House. No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's a journey. It's about a haunted house and about these like 5 or 6 friends that go and stay and shit gets fucked up and it is wild. A dude gets turned into a pile of bananas. But Darkness Falls is the one with the tooth fairy. Okay, I'm mixed up with what is the other one that I'm thinking of? It
I
had the
really
chick
liked
that played
it.
Rogue.
Also, by the way,
It? The
it.
new one or the old?
Oh, definitely the new one. The old
I like
one's
the old
dog shit.
Oh, you
It's
sir.
dog shit.
It is not. It
I
is
feel
dated,
like it's
not dog
intentionally
shit.
it's a rushed, horrible. It
It was
did
a
not
made for
age well.
TV movie. What do you want?
I'm not like I know that's why.
Oh, okay.
That's like being like, yeah, we made this shitty thing, and all of a sudden people are like, no, I love it. I'm like that doesn't make it less shitty. Like
Fine. It is shitty.
you can like it. I don't, but you can. Like I don't care. It's,
Fine.
no, but like the new It movies, they were fucking awesome. I know the second one got shat on like crazy, which is I don't fully understand. I mean, it didn't go into a lot of the
objectively-
pivotal parts in the book, but I still liked it.
I thought it was fine. I had no problems with it. I thought it was great. I think the biggest issue with it, and this is exactly how I feel about the novel, I think it's awesome until the very end where they reveal that Pennywise is a fucking giant spider creature. Like
Yeah.
that kills the story off. And
Mhm.
because again, it's what you can't see is more terrifying. What
Yeah.
what you make him appear as is what
Yeah.
you're really afraid of, and it takes it and twists it.
Right.
But is there any horror movie that that scarred you or stuck with you for a long time or like put a weird fear in you? Like a lot of people I know, it's Jaws. Like they can't swim in the ocean or whatever.
I,
It doesn't
I-
have to be horror.
yeah. So not many movies have like stuck with me, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, I watched this super small like indie film called The Wizard of Oz, and the Wicked Witch of the
Not
West
familiar.
fucking terrified me. I don't know why. Terrified me. I think in hindsight,
The Wicked Witch?
the Wicked Witch, the green one, the scary, the
Yeah.
bad one.
Yeah.
Um,
How old were you
Elphaba?
when this frightened you?
I must have been 5,
Okay.
but it stuck with me. Like I
If you'd have
remember
said, like,
every time I
12,
saw
I'd have
like,
been like, really?
well, I remember when Wicked came out, and I kept seeing like the Wicked Witch everywhere. I was like, oh, it's fine. I'm an adult now. Like I'm like
I'm okay. You're safe.
it was just like an innate like feeling. I can't explain it. Twister was scary for me. I have a little bit
Makes
because my two biggest fears are tornadoes and sharks, and I fucking know Sharknado, whatever.
Sharknado.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
watch
har
it.
har.
Yeah, but-
But separately, tornadoes and
Are
sharks,
objectively terrifying. Together, not so much.
not so much. I think it's fun. So and the sharks are gonna die if they're in a tornado. It's not a big deal.
This is true.
Yeah, they're gonna be. They're just gonna be just blunt objects traveling at 600 miles per hour. It's fine. So
Yeah. It's gonna hurt.
it's gonna hurt, but cool way to go, in my opinion. That's way
For
better than
me,
heart
it's-
disease.
Yeah. For me, it's boring.
Leading killer of
I've-
men.
It's
Sharks,
true.
not. Sorry, go ahead.
For me, it's boring. Like for many years, Freddy Krueger scared the hell out of me until I saw Freddy's Dead. because he is fucking hysterical in that movie. Like objectively, he's very funny. So it was kind of like disarming at that point. I'm like, he's
Oh.
not so scary. I mean, he is, but so that kind of killed like any real fear that I had with
Mm-hmm.
him. But the movie that scared the shit out of me, and I blame my parents because they did this to me, was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one.
It's a spooky film.
I'd
Yeah.
never seen it.
Especially as a young
Shocked
kid.
me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was probably like 10. Um,
Mm.
and I'd never seen amazingly, I'd never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was just one of the movies that my brother hadn't shown me for some weird reason.
Mm.
But my parent, like, I remember specifically, I was playing Metal Gear Solid, and my parents were like, "Hey, stop playing this game. We're gonna watch this movie." I'm like, "Okay."
I'm having a good time. You want to have a bad
Yeah, I'm
time?
like, I'm sitting there,
I'm
like,
making memories right
Snake!
now. You want to make some fears, baby?
Yeah, Solid Snake's like, "Don't do it, Mick. It's not a good idea." And I'm like, "But they want me to, Snake." So I go and I I watch the movie, and it scared the fucking shit out of me. And the worst part, like this, it scared me because I didn't know anything about it. And they
Right.
get you at the beginning where they're like based on a true story, and I'm like,
That's not
well,
good.
I'm never fucking going to Texas. That's
Yeah.
just granted, what they don't tell you is the based on the true story part is like a small little tiny portion
Dude,
of
I hate
yeah.
when movies
It
put that
drives me fucking
based on a
crazy, and
true
it's not a
story.
lie.
I wish they had like a scale, like the whole like 10% based on a true
Yeah.
story. Like there was like an official rating for you to legally put based
2%.
on a true story. You have to like give it like a 9 out of 10. Holy shit, this is like a documentary. It's a
Yeah.
5 out of 10. Okay, we took some creative liberties. 5%, 5 out of or 1 out of 10.
And
It's not based on a true story.
No. And I watched this movie, and at the very end, they
Inspired
say,
by a true story. You can do that.
"Okay, go to bed." And they fight. It was like 9:30 on a Saturday night, and they're like, "Okay, go to bed now." And I'm like, "Are you motherfuckers serious that you made me watch this terrifying movie?" Because he's like, that is like an irrational fear I have, is like things that want to eat me, and like sentient, like things that can tell you, like,
Um,
I want to eat you, Mick. And I don't know why. It's like for the longest time, scared of trolls.
Wait, trolls like from Harry Potter?
Trolls. No. There's this movie. It's from I think 85. It's by Ridley Scott. It's called Legend, and it stars Tom
Oh,
Cruise. It
yeah.
stars Tim
Yeah.
Curry. It stars Mira Sorvino, I
It's a good
think.
movie.
It's a great movie, but at one point when he's trying to infiltrate the Prince of Darkness's castle to save the princess, fucking he's going through this goddamn swamp, and this fucking troll
It's fucking
pop. I don't think it was a troll. I think it was technically a hag.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Voiced by
know what you
Robert
mean, though.
Picardo. Yeah, voiced by Robert Picardo
As we
of,
all know, it doesn't require explanation.
Voyager fame. But yeah, that fucking troll, and he's talking to this Meg Mucklebone, and she's like running her claws over his shield and everything, and he's like, "You don't really mean to eat me, do you, ma'am?" And she's like, "Oh, indeed I do, boy. Indeed I do." And that scares the fuck out of me. Something that is like, I want to eat you, and I'm like, don't eat me. So yeah, that scares the fucking shit out of me.
That unlocked a
Still.
memory. So
Oh,
when I
no.
was living in Florida, I was in middle school, and my parents were watching a movie. It's one of those like parents' relationship falling apart, so they go into like habits, like we should watch a movie every night kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they watched a movie called, I think it was called like Shooter or something like that. It was like about a sniper that was just killing
Mark
people.
Wahlberg film?
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't know who Mark Wahlberg at the time. I couldn't tell you. I didn't watch it again. So they specifically said go to bed like early because we don't want you seeing this movie, and the TV is right outside
Probably
my
violent.
fucking room. So
Yeah.
I laid down on the floor and had the door just kind of cracked open, and I was eating my gummy bears while watching it. I was just like, I'm not supposed to watch this. And I wasn't going to be interested until they said, you especially
Don't.
can't watch this. And I'm like, oh, I'm so going to fucking watch this now.
I'm gonna watch this fucking movie. With
I'm
my
going to
gummy
watch
bears.
this in spite of you. and I ate my gummy bears with such suspense. So, and when I watched this man just like shoot people with a sniper rifle on top of like a skyscraper and shit, and he had to be like negotiated with, it was intense. So many people died. So, but for like weeks, I was scared of tall buildings because I thought I was going to be shot. That's probably why they didn't want me to watch it in hindsight.
And you look back now and you're like, fuck, they were right. I shouldn't have watched this film.
I'm so scared that like a 50 cal is going to go right through my neck or something. Like,
You're just well, we're not. No,
Just
we're not
your
walking down that.
typical 12-year-old thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so like that was something that stuck with me for a very long time. And I mean, even still to this day, like it's one of those things where I'm like, where like something that could tell me that it wants to eat me and like what really wants to eat me. And I'm like,
For sport.
bro,
Not
I
'cause it's
probably taste
hungry.
like shit, and I know everybody like makes the fucking joke about like, Jeffrey Dahmer said like, oh, people with tattoos taste terrible or something like that. But
Oh, that's not why. Don't bullshit
no, that's
me.
not. No, that's not. But
It's an additive. I get that.
maybe,
Maybe.
maybe,
Tastes bad.
maybe.
Interesting. I remember reading that.
I feel
Interesting.
like that was a bullshit thing to say to just fuck with people. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
it was too. I think it was
feel like
too.
you're a liar, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Did you watch Dahmer?
Okay, no, I haven't. But partially the reason why is because I watched the original Dahmer movie that they did. God, it's probably from like '02 or '04 or something. It stars Jeremy Renner as Jeffrey Dahmer, and
I remember
it's
you telling
just
me about that. That's right. That's right.
it's
That's right.
so weird.
I remember
And
we've had this conversation. That's
I
right.
didn't
Yeah,
wanna
yeah,
s
yeah.
yeah, I talked a little bit about it last week.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't wanna say that it's bad, but it's just like, this is weird.
Yeah, weird. I remember I think I told you,
'Cause
oh
he was
my
a
god.
weird dude, like, he was not, like, a
Yeah.
normal guy
Yeah.
by any stretch,
It's
but
very off-putting.
yeah, and so it was just at that time where, like, I don't even wanna say it was, like, a low budget or anything, it was just like, "Well, this is strange. He's got a red light, and he lays in bed with a corpse. Huh." There's a bit that, like, the
Jeremy
ma
Renner too. That adds another layer of like,
and
ugh.
this was, like, when he was, like, no one. Like, I think the
Yeah, yeah.
biggest movie he had done aside from this was the movie SWAT, where he was the villain in
Oh
SWAT.
yeah. I remember that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so but there's this unintentionally hilarious moment in it because, Dahmer, for those that don't know, was a gay man, and, he tried to pick this guy up. This is before, like, he moved to the city and started killing people and all that kinda shit.
Oh, the
There's this
Hitchhiker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 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 no. This was like young Dahmer. This is when he was like 17, 16.
Yeah, the
I don't even
Hitchhiker.
I don't Oh, no, no, no. This was okay. It's not that. He's I can't remember if he was driving the car or anyway, so he car stops, he's either driving or he's like walking along the road. I think
Mhm.
he was driving. And it's a guy that he went to school with, and he was like, "Hey, you want to smoke some pot?" And it's such a funny moment because it is a literal, like, empty neighborhood, empty street. There's not a soul in sight. There's the car, the actor, and, that's it. Like, clearly
Oh,
they
this is
cleared
from the
out.
Jeremy Renner thing.
Yeah, this is from the Jeremy
Specifically.
Renner one.
That is
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a skewed perspective of what actually happened. That's weird. Okay.
Okay. But he goes, "You wanna smoke some pot?" And the guy literally goes, and for those listening, audio, he does a grand gesture of looking to the right, a grand gesture of looking to the left, and goes, "Yeah." So they drive back to Dahmer's house because he's living with his parents at the time. He drives back to Dahmer's house. They smoke some weed. Dahmer tries to put the moves on him.
Uh-huh.
He gets
rejects it.
pissed.
Yeah.
He rejects him, like pushes him off of him. Dahmer grabs like a dumbbell weight, like a hand
Mhm.
weight, and like goes to attack the guy with it because he's like, "Don't leave me" or whatever. And the guy
Yep.
was like, "You fucking do it." Like, fucking do it, man. And Dahmer doesn't. He puts it down, and the guy fucking leaves. And it's just so weird. Like,
What?
encapsulates that entire movie. It's so fucking weird, dude.
That's not what happened.
Yeah, I haven't
Like
seen the new
famously
ones.
not what happened. That's okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm not for sure the one you're referring to, but yeah, that's what
No,
happens
that's the
in
same
that
story.
movie.
So what actually
Okay.
happened in because I've watched I mean, I don't want to like talk. I don't want to like I cringe a little bit at people that are like obsessed with like serial
Thank
killers
you.
and stuff.
Yes,
So
I too.
because it's just dangerous. It's disrespectful to the victims and stuff like that. And on that note, by the way, I'm not proud of watching Dahmer on Netflix because apparently they got zero fucking permissions at all from any of the victims' families,
Not
which
a shock
is
that that's the
absolutely
case.
fucked.
Yeah,
Which it's
it
so
is.
fucked because it was huge. They even go into detail in the show about how fucked it was that people were doing that like back in the day, like. But you're doing it. Like, why are you
Yeah.
like anyway? Uh, So what actually happened was he was a hitchhiker on his way to a concert, and he was like, "Hey, I can take
Ah,
you to the concert, but let's go back to my place, smoke and drink a little bit, and we'll go." And puts the moves on him. He takes a dumbbell weight from like a
yeah,
lifting thing. You can tell how much I lift.
yes,
Um, and he,
very
and
buff.
he and he knocks him out with that, and then he chokes him to death after that.
I
And
don't
that is
think he killed the guy. Maybe he did. I don't. Maybe my memory. Maybe I described it
historically
incorrectly.
he kills him.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. Huh.
And he chopped
Okay.
up his body. Yeah, it's
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's rough.
It
Um,
is rough. Oof.
but
But
that was like his first kill, and he was very like panicked and just trying to hide the evidence. It wasn't for
yeah,
like any
yeah,
other reason
yeah.
than that.
Well, in the
Based on what
Renner
he's
film,
disclosed.
it's unintentionally hilarious, just because it's like he's looking around like somebody's gonna see this, and it's very obvious that there is no one within 10 miles because
Mm,
it's one of those things of like, well, you're very clearly on a movie set. And that there's no one else around because they didn't want to put actors in this scene.
yeah.
Well, he's just like,
Well,
"You want
yeah,
to smoke some pot?"
we didn't factor
And,
extras into this budget.
yeah, well, and it's just like the way that Renner says it, where he's like, "Hey, you want to smoke some pot?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like, it's just so
Weird.
weird. Like, I encourage you to watch that movie if you want just like a
Would you
this is
consider it
strange.
horror or comedy?
It's a drama because
Drama, because it's not
it
a
is a
comedy.
drama. No, it's
What
not a
about a
comedy.
dramedy though? We don't do
A
that.
dramedy? Ah, you could do that. It blurs the line between the masks. One of them's like half smiling, the other one's like, "Oh."
Yeah, and
Um,
apparently that concept is exactly what
or
Mass
excuse
Effect Andromeda was based
I
on.
fucked up. I think no, I fucking got it wrong. It's comedy and tragedy. God damn it. I sound like an asshole.
Oh,
It's
it's
comedy and
comedy and
tragedy.
tragedy.
Jesus
I
fucking
mean, same
Christ.
same concept. I know what
Yeah,
you're
drama is yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
I'm an idiot. It's comedy and
tragedy.
tragedy. I
Because I don't
fucked it
think those
all up.
two can mix that well.
You know, I had you though. You were in. You were like, "Yes, that sounds correct to me."
No, I
So,
bought it. I mean,
yeah,
one, I got what you mean. Like,
yeah.
it wasn't the right word,
Thank
but
you.
whatever. Like, um,
Drama and fucking comedy. It's tragedy and comedy.
tragedy.
I mean, when you look at Shakespeare, that's all he wrote was tragedies and comedies, and sometimes a mix of the two, you
I
know?
feel like
And
when there's a mix of the two, it defaults as a comedy.
yeah, ultimately, yeah. Or
Yeah,
like satire. Like it's like, oh, this is funny, also sad because it's true, you
it's
know?
sad tire,
Yes. Oh, satire.
like
No,
rubber. And we're back.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's one of those things that with the serial killer thing. So I go to horror conventions when I can.
I don't
And
think we have any of those near me. We just have oddities and whatever. We're just a bunch of taxidermy. Horror convention. That's cool as fuck.
they're very cool. Like I've met
They-
Robert Englund, who's Freddy Krueger. I've
Yeah,
met
yeah.
Bruce Campbell, who plays Ash from Evil Dead.
I bet those are the two
Um,
longest lines at that convention.
I, I I do not exaggerate when I told you or I tell you this. I waited fucking was it 2 days? Like basically fucking a day and a half in line to meet Robert Englund. No shit. Like we got in line the night, like Friday night, and didn't meet him until Saturday afternoon.
No, no way.
Yeah. It was
That
bad. They gave us like tickets that had like this is your place in line, and then you go because it took so long because he gives time to everybody. Like he
I
talks to you, and he drew. I've shared it before, but he actually drew us like a picture. Excuse me, a picture on our poster, and he actually legitimately talks and gives you time. So because of that, fucking takes a long time. But yeah,
I can't even think of I can't think of anything or anyone I would wait in line like that for. You
I would
couldn't
not
pay
do it
me.
again. I wouldn't do it again. And
Yeah.
believe me, it wasn't intentional. We didn't think it was going to take that long.
Oh,
But
really? Oh, okay.
I bring up the horror conventions to say this. One of the things that you see a lot is there are vendors that will have serial killer merchandise, like t-shirts that have like a picture of like fucking Ed Gein on it or Dahmer
Uh,
or Bundy. And
or
sometimes they're like joke tees where it's like you'll have a picture of Ted Bundy and it'll say lady killer underneath, which is just gross.
uh,
And that shit is like if I see a booth that has that, I will fucking walk around it because I'm just like, fuck you, dude. Like,
that's gross, man. Like those are
yeah.
real fucking people that died. Like,
Exactly. And it's again like Freddy Krueger's one thing. Um
that's
Jason
oh,
Voorhees,
ugh.
Michael Myers, like they're not fucking real, man. Because I know people are
Yeah,
like,
the monsters are fine. The real ones don't. You're you're literally glorifying them. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's so
Well, it's
fucked.
like, I've had people give me shit before because they're like, "Well, Mick, like Freddy Krueger's your favorite slasher, and he's a fucking child murderer and a pedophile." And I'm like, "Hey, you know what else he is? Not fucking real, and a dream demon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, not a real guy at all." So yeah, but no,
God.
like occasionally you'll see that, and it's
Woof.
fucking gross, dude.
I am glad to say I don't surround myself in people that I haven't. Granted, I've not been to a horror con, so I just haven't seen shit like that. But
They are a
that's
lot of fun if you're into it because
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
they'll do like the panels where you'll have different people talk about
Mm,
their work and things like that. For example, one of the coolest panels that I've been in, like Robert Englund is great, but
yeah,
Tony Todd, the gentleman who plays Candyman, he's great just because I love him as an actor. He's been in a
yeah.
lot of things that I really enjoy. Like he was in The Crow, he
Hmm.
was in The Rock. He voiced was it Reverse Flash? No, it wasn't Reverse Flash. He's a voice actor. Like he's just awesome. Like Tony Todd is really cool. You've probably seen him in a billion things. He was in the remake of Night of the Living Dead. Like he's just awesome. And he's got a great presence and he's a great dude. So he just has cool stories. Because I love that. I love listening to like cool stories and particularly cool stories from people who have been in like the industry for a long time and
Yeah.
have things to share.
That's
Um,
so interesting. Before pursuing voice acting, did you want to be like in the film? Out of curiosity,
yes, actually, I did. I wanted to be a writer and director.
dude, I wanted to be a director so fucking bad. I remember watching like all the video co-pilot videos on YouTube and doing all like the budget stuff, all the making my own blood squib and stuff like that. Me and my friends in high school would like make like a bunch of reels and stuff like that.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
I
No,
was so
I
I wanted to go. I moved to Denton to go to UNT to go to their film program, which I ended up not fucking doing.
I was about to
Uh,
say, well, you did not do that. I
no, I'm
noticed.
glad I didn't. But I have friends who did, and they're happy in their field, and I live
You ever think
vicariously through
about it?
them. Not really. Nah.
You good? You're
I'm
good
not
with it?
I'm not jealous of the I don't know where my money's coming from.
No, 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 no. Yeah, that fair point.
I Nope.
I was initially in college for film actually, and I changed my major to programming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I because I had to. Like that was part of the problem. Like the structure of the film program at the time, because I worked full time in college,
Mm,
and the job I had at the time was not incredibly flexible with what my school schedule was because it was a retail job. So you kind of got to do what they say. Am I
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
I think a writer would be like my dream job.
yeah, that'd
Like
be
a
cool.
like a show or movie writer.
Yeah,
I would even just to be in the fucking writing room, not spitting a
I think it'd be
word.
great.
I would be in my element. I would be so happy.
Yeah,
It could
but
be anything.
I changed my major just because I couldn't make it work with my work schedule at the time, and
Um,
ultimately it worked out though. I mean, again, as you
yeah.
said, like I don't have to worry about where my money's coming from, much
No.
less like this little thing called the pandemic, which fucked up a lot of
Yeah,
people's
like imagine
jobs.
being in your field and having to like move out of your house because it just doesn't suit a pandemic. Like
Yeah, so
that's
and
I can't imagine.
yeah, so it's one of those things that I don't regret it at all because again, like the comfort of paying my bills,
Yeah.
buying a house,
Yeah.
like not having to worry, like
Even in
we're able to
hindsight, I
start a
would do it again every time.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like we're able to start a family because of the stability that we have, and stability I
Yeah.
think is more important than like because and I'll say this as well. There's nothing that stops neither you nor me from making a movie. Not going to film school isn't going to stop us from making
No,
a
it's
movie.
not. And that's what any film professional is gonna tell you too. Like it's you'll learn a lot, like technical
Yeah.
stuff, like lenses and like what type of equipment to use and like how to edit if you don't know how to do that. But 99% of film like being successful is literally just networking.
Yeah.
Because shitty talent will get work because they know the right person. And it's
Yep.
so often in the film industry where like the real talent gets overshadowed because oh this guy's friend.
Yep. I mean, that's a lot of how it is in voice
Fuck your
acting.
degree, which is
It
normal in
is a
all
lot of
businesses,
networking.
but yeah,
Well, it's because I think there's no defined pathway of success for film. Like a
no.
lot of career paths, there is a defined path. Like you get
Mhm.
a job, you work at that job, you advance in that job, and that's what you do. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But film, it's like for there's Steven Spielberg. Compare Steven Spielberg to like Quentin Tarantino, two completely different paths in life.
Right.
Tarantino didn't go to film school. He says
Hmm.
himself, "I went to movies." He worked in a fucking video store and wrote. Like that's how he got in.
Right.
Like he
I
just
mean,
watched a ton of movies.
yeah, I mean, even Jonah Hill, like people at like that level are still trying to like network. That's why he wanted to work with. I think he was only paid like 60K to work in like Wolf of Wall Street because he wanted to work with Scorsese. Like it was just like you need to
Yeah.
network. You need to
Yeah, and look at that.
smart
Look at the
move.
movies that he's done. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, man. Look at like, Seth Rogen's a prime example. Look at the television shows and the movies, mostly TV, I think, but look at what
Yeah.
he's produced compared to the movies that he's done. He was like king of the stoner comedy, and now he produces shows like The Boys and Preacher and
Hmm.
fucking like all these intense graphic novels where it's like,
Yeah.
wait, who did what?
And he has
So
like
yeah.
a weed like accessory business that does really well. Like he sells like ashtrays and like like table lighters and stuff like that for like hundreds of dollars. Super bougie stuff.
Yeah. And he
And
got his start in Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks. Well, a
Yeah.
lot of actors did though.
That show
That
was
that
like,
that troupe
holy
stuck
cow,
together too.
right? All of them like became
All of
really
them.
successful.
All
It's
of them.
wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. Great show. It was a good show. It was like what, like a season, maybe two? It was not a lot, I don't
I
think.
watched it a long time ago. I couldn't tell you. I remember watching it being like, this is relatable as fuck, but it's not like groundbreaking to me at the
No,
time because I'm sure it was at the time, but
it was
I have
good,
to
but
assume.
I don't know if it was like, oh my god. Well, before we get out of here, before we
Yeah.
call it a day, kind of wrap up this spooky talk. Are there any I know you're not a big horror guy, but are there any horror movies that you would direct people to, like, hey, it's worth your time to check this movie out, from two non-horror experts giving recommendations?
So I'm gonna go on entertainment value.
Okay.
The best
Valid.
so if you like slashers, like R-rated slashers, I would definitely check out X by A24. It's on Amazon Prime, I believe.
I would be
Um,
honest, the literal reason why I haven't watched that movie and don't have interest in seeing the sequel, Pearl, the main character,
I think it's a
Mia
prequel.
Goth. Yeah, Mia Goth. She's a weird face, dude. It bugs the shit out of me. She
Really?
looks weird, and it's something about it where I'm like, I don't want to look at you for 90 minutes because you bug me. That's
That
really
is
petty and weird. I
that is
know.
very petty and shallow.
I
That's
know.
very
Just,
interesting.
he has like no eyebrows or something. It's weird.
I know. I mean, I know
Anyway,
what you mean. I think I have that about some actors too.
yeah. Anyway, I'm
But
sure it's a fine film.
but either way, yeah, X. If you like slashers, if you want just something for like Halloween, watch Trick or Treat if you haven't before.
So good.
I think last year was the first year I watched it, and
It's so good.
it's incredible. It's such like a just perfect Halloween movie,
Mhm.
which is exactly what it's going for. Um,
They're doing a sequel, by the way,
yeah, I saw. I'm really
which I
excited.
was very excited for because
Yeah,
I like Sam. Like, he's great, man. Like,
it's
I
just
don't
a
know,
cool
he's great
character.
design. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
great
just
design, solid. It's a great like mascot of Halloween. They're clearly
yeah.
trying to capitalize on that. And like
Oh,
his
yeah.
costume has been at Spirit for years. Anyway, I would watch anything from the Conjuring series, The Conjuring, Conjuring 2, The Nun, stuff like
Need to
that.
watch those.
They're awesome. They're based around the
The
real life
Warrens.
people, the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, which whether they were real or not, they're cool characters in fiction.
Oh, yeah.
So highly recommend. Otherwise, I know I've mentioned it before. I'm gonna beat this dead horse. If you don't, just watch it As Above, So Below. It's a great movie. And if you don't like it, fucking fine. Don't like
It's
it.
okay.
Just
You
that's
don't have
okay.
to.
You don't have to like it, but I do, and I recommend it.
Trying to think. What would I recommend, based off of entertainment value? Ooh, boy. Um, hmm, that's a great well, for you, definitely check out American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Um, it is an old movie. It's 79, I think. So it's old, but
Mm,
it is really great. As I said earlier, any anthology that you can get your hands on, specifically Tales from the Hood, Creep Show. because Creepshow was done in conjunction by Stephen King and George Romero, and that is a combination that you can't beat. Stephen King wrote all the stories. George Romero directed everything. Stephen King actually stars in one of the stories in Creepshow. He is the main actor, and he is great. What is it? The Loathsome Death of Jordy Verrill, I think. Or Loathsome Tale of Jordy Verrill, something like that. Anyway, so any anthology that you can get your hands on, those are excellent. I'm trying to think of something that I would recommend. Ooh, I'll tell you what I wouldn't recommend, the new Hellraiser.
Really? I keep seeing like back behind the scenes footage and everything.
Okay, gorgeous movie. Like it
Yeah?
looks great.
It looks
Like
stunning.
yeah, it's shot really well. They spent some fucking money on this movie because it looks great. I just thought it was boring, to be perfectly honest. I've
Really?
seen the first
Okay.
movie. I've seen the second movie. This is like, this doesn't really spoil anything, but this is kind of like a combination of the first movie and second movie. It's
Okay.
it's a reimagining, but it takes concepts from the first two movies.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
it's just kind of boring and like to me misses the and maybe like I have a certain view because I've seen the original movies multiple times and went in with preconceived like ideas of how shit works
Mm-hmm.
um and they changed that. Like the biggest thing is, and again, this doesn't really spoil anything. The way the puzzle box works in the original series, you solve the box, the Cenobites show up and are like, "Hey, we're the creepy, weird sex demons who are here to delight you and fucking rip your skin off you and you'll tear your soul apart." Not how it works in the new one.
Fascinating.
Yeah. You don't actually solve the box and then they show up. The idea is you solve a portion, a blade pops out. You stab someone with the blade and they are a sacrifice to the Cenobites until you do this 6 times to unlock the final configuration.
You make me want Cinnabon.
It is delicious.
It
The
is so
best part
fucking
of the
good.
movie. Yeah. So don't
Taco Bell
I
sells
didn't
them.
enjoy it.
Anyway,
They do, and it's rad.
what's your favorite thing
No,
from Taco Bell?
Mexican pizza.
Really? They brought it back, baby.
They brought it back, and I had
It's
it
like
for
1,000 calories
two,
though, dude. It's so
I
fucking
had
much,
it
but
for
it's so
like
good.
2 weeks, and then now
They
like
ran out
mine
of
has been sold out.
supplies. Yeah.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
what it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
supplies.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's like
That's very
nationwide.
sad.
It sucks.
That is the true horror: is running out of supplies of Mexican pizza.
Unbelievable.
Do we have anybody joining us next week, or what are we doing? Do we know yet?
We will figure it out. If you guys have
That is
any
a-
idea where you want we want people on, I have a couple ideas actually on who to bring on. Some
I'll cut it
streamers.
off here.
But I would love to get someone on, especially if we can put them back on the Guestatron 2000, which I still have to
Yes!
work on.
So excited.
But yeah, dude.
I love this new
stoked.
set. This is great.
Yeah, and if you're watching on Spotify, I mean, listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, check us out on YouTube. We're streaming right now. We love reading chat and everyone engaging. But we're on YouTube every Wednesday around 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So check us out here. But otherwise, you can always check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Check us out also in the Discord. We love posting around. A lot of construction's happening right now. It's working out really cool. It's been mega active recently. Discord.gg/Playotic Games. We'd love to have you. And that's all I got, buddy.
Ooh, I got one last thing. I know a movie that I would suggest, and I would suggest this to you as well because I think you would dig it. It's John Carpenter, In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that thumbnail before. I've never watched it. But
Do you read Sutter Kane? That's probably what you've seen. The Do you read Sutter Kane?
That's probably
It's
what it
great.
was.
It's
Okay.
based off of the
Rings a lot of
Lovecraft
bells.
story of In the Mouth of Madness. It is highly recommend. Sam Neill stars. Great movie. But that's about all I got though, buddy. As always, thank you for listening, and thank you, Sumner, for doing the doing the chat.
Yeah.
Chatting the crap. All right.
Chatting the crap.
Chat
Chatting the crap, everyone. Good night.
Good night.